US Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump have squared off in their only planned debate of this year's presidential campaign. The two candidates clashed on a host of issues, including economy, race and immigration. Both accused each other of lying, with Harris questioning Trump's fitness for office. We'll go to Washington in a moment, but first, here's Donald Trump attacking Kamala Harris by repeating an unproved allegation about irregular immigrants.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame.
Now, Donald Trump was also asked if he had any regrets over his role in the Capitol riot on January 6 in 2021. Trump did not answer that question. Here's Vice President Kamala Harris on the threat she believes Trump poses to American democracy.
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that. But we cannot afford to have a president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election.
For more on that debate, we're joined now by special correspondent Aya Ibrahim in Washington, D.C. Aya, after such a big build-up to this moment, I wonder what stands out most to you when you look back on this debate now?
Well, it was certainly a very wide-ranging debate. It covered topics ranging from abortion to immigration, the economy, and foreign policy. But what was striking to me is how thin, relatively thin, this entire debate was on actual details of that policy. And I think that is valid for both candidates. I mean, when they talked about the issue of, the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians and the current war in Gaza, all of the points that we heard, there was really nothing new there, and there wasn't really any more detail about how this conflict could end. When it came to the debate or the discussion around the economy between the two presidential hopefuls, both sort of reiterated or repeated statements they had made in the past, again, without going into a lot of detail into what their policies would look like and what they would concretely do for the American people. And that's because as has become sort of a habit in these debates, it was very personal and very confrontational, and both candidates were, in their own way, really focused on discrediting their opponents. So I think that is a big takeaway from that debate, just how thin it was on actual details of policy, Anthony.
And for a lot of people, Aya, that's what makes a clear winner hard to define here. So I guess a better question might be, which candidate hit their marks with more force and consistency during this debate?
I think when it comes to the vice president, when it comes to Kamala Harris, there was a lot at stake at this debate. There was, of course, the debate between the former Democratic candidate, the current president, Joe Biden, which was largely seen as a disaster for the Democrats and was, many analysts say, was what ushered in, the sequence of events that eventually led to Kamala Harris being the Democratic candidate now. And when we compare the performance of Joe Biden with the performance of Kamala Harris, of course, she came off as much more assertive, very, very coherent, and she was able to rattle Donald Trump in many ways, her opponent. She was able to sort of get him off script, to go into these sort of angry monologues by bringing up, his rallies and suggesting that people get bored at these rallies and have to leave. And so she was able to successfully sort of rattle her opponent. Another, sort of sign that perhaps she came out on top in this debate is that Kamala Harris faces an interesting dilemma. She's trying to pitch herself as the candidate for change on the one hand. At the same time, she is part of the current administration. And that's a weakness that, former President Trump alluded to at times, but as a result of the fact that he was sort of distracted by Kamala Harris, was not able to, I think, push through as strongly as he could have, because it is indeed a weakness of hers, how to pitch herself as a candidate for change and renewal, while at the same time actually being part of the current system that she wants to change.
One more before we go, Aya. Do you get the feeling from there in 2024, how much influence does a debate like this still have over voters?
It's very, very difficult to say. All of the, most polls between the two candidates before the debate tonight were very close, a lot of them well within the margin of error. And now we've had this debate now, and according to a CNN flash poll that was conducted after the debate, Kamala Harris came on top with 63% of respondents saying that she was the winner. But this is not really an indication for what will happen in November. It's unclear if there will be a second debate. The Harris campaign has said that they would like to have a second debate, and Trump on Fox News has sort of already indicated that he sees that as a sign of weakness and that he would consider it maybe if it was on a more fair network, according to him. And also there's a lot that could happen between now and November. Just think about the amount of events that have happened just in the past month, in between July and August, including the attempted assassination on Donald Trump's life, and also the change of candidates. So a lot could happen. And so it's very, very difficult from where we're standing right now after that one debate to be able to say who exactly is going to be the next president of the United States.
DW's A. Ibrahim in Washington, D.C. Thank you so much. All right, for more DW's Michelle Stockman joins me now in the studio. Good to see you, Michelle. With such a big build-up, the only debate so far, what do you look back on and take away?
Well, I took away that I didn't myself really feel like either Harris or Trump came out as the winner. I kind of felt like it was an even match. Now, my opinion differs from what I saw from two different publications. Liberal publication Washington Post had polled a bunch of swing state voters. Most of them said that they thought Harris had won the debate. Also, I looked at Fox News. They had polled a bunch of voters who also thought that Harris had won the debate, that she came out on top. However, there were columnists that had commented saying, well, Trump really is kind of a 3-to-1 event with Trump, with the moderators really pushing him. But, both of them came out to show that they're presidential. I think both of them did manage to do that. It matters, though, what issues really resonated with the swing state voters who were watching as to who they believe won the debate.
Right. So a couple of things on the to-do list, you might say, for the Harris campaign was to try and get under the skin of Donald Trump and draw out what they think is his uglier side. How did she go?
Yeah, so I think Harris was very effective in doing that. She talked about the crowd size of his rallies, kind of mocked him for that.
A favourite.
She also talked about how foreign leaders laugh at him. She said that members of his own administration say he's a threat to democracy and he should not be re-elected. And this definitely got under his skin. He spent a lot of time defending himself. She went after him, especially for his tariff policies. He spent a lot of time defending his policies, perhaps rather than spending that time attacking her. But I have to say, this is a different Trump than I've seen. When he's debated women or interacted with women moderators in the past, he's really gone nasty. Remember what he said to Megyn Kelly? She's got blood coming out of her wherever. He called Hillary Clinton a nasty woman. So he was restrained. He knows he has a problem with women in the polls. And so in that sense, I did see that he didn't go overboard in terms of how he treated Kamala Harris.
Did you get the sense Harris was trying to disassociate from Biden?
I did, and I think that's where she has a problem. Because if you think about the role of the vice president is supposed to be a loyal lieutenant, kind of a nothing burger, not drawing attention or creating any scandal, and just adhering to the presidential policy. So she did say, hey, let's turn a new chapter. But, she's got 3 years of being in the Biden administration where we've got inflation, we've got immigration problems. And so she did lay lay out policies of that, but she didn't really differentiate how she is going to be really different, other than that she's younger, she's of a new generation.
And so I immediately want to look on the other side of this coin. Trump was trying to frame Harris as very much part of the Biden problem. Do you think he did it?
He did, I think, and that's where his zingers came in. He said, what have you been doing for the past 3 years, Kamala? Why you're saying these policies right now to bring down the price of bacon, milk, and bread at the grocery store to help people buy homes? Why haven't you been able to solve that over the past 3 years? And she did have policies saying how she's going to change things, but not why that hasn't been addressed during the Biden administration.
Great entertainment, endlessly fascinating, I would tender, but we must ask the question, did it move the needle? Do you think any undecided voter left that content with their minds made up either way?
I think it's too soon to tell. We don't have the polling out yet. We went into this debate with the national polling averages neck and neck. But one thing I can say is minutes after the debate ended, someone who is hugely influential in public opinion, Taylor Swift, came out and endorsed Kamala Harris's campaign. And she did so on an Instagram message to her 238 million followers, signed it childless cat lady. So we can talk about more what that means, but it's a dig at Trump, and she perhaps could move the needle.
And she holds sway. Michelle Stockman, thanks so much.